Today we're going to work on the Grapevine wreath and the witch's broom. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the Grapevine wreath because it's a simple stem stitch and French knots for the berries. Refer to the video for the bittersweet. So now let's move on to the broom. For the broom handle, I knew that I wanted to have it be quite raised from the fabric. So I took a wool strip and I stitched it down. You can use a piece of yarn or anything that's going to raise it up. After that, we're going to run a tight satin stitch over the entire wool strip. But now is the part that I worried about the most. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do the broom top. I knew that if I ran a whole long stitch along the whole length of it, that it was going to be too loose. So what I think I'm going to do is break it into 3 sections. I think I'm going to have to do a bottom section, a middle section, and a top section. I may even have to add another section in there. So I'm just going to start stitching, and I'm really eyeballing this. I'm not following the drawn pattern. I'm just kind of eyeballing where that bottom section would be, running a simple satin stitch as wide as I think it would be. I like how that looks. So now I'm going to add a middle section. I'm not sure if that middle section is going to be enough still. I don't want super long stitches on the top. So I'm going to add that middle section. Again, just a simple satin stitch. I sometimes am going over my stitches because I do want them to be a little bit puffy and raised. So I'll just go over the previous stitch once or twice. I do like how this is looking as it's coming along. But I think I'm probably going to have to add a 3rd short section in because those long stitches are just going to be way too long. I think it's going to make the stitch too loose in the final result. So let's go ahead and add a 3rd short section in. Again, I'm eyeballing it, but you can see that I'm starting to follow the contour of the outer lines, how they start to bow out toward the top. And we're just going to fill that in. We're going to go over stitches to raise it up. This is OTF Threads G62. It's called Straw, so it has a nice broom type look to it. I love how the stitches just make everything come to life. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm at the point where I am going to have to stitch in those long stitches. I'm going to follow the jagged drawn parts on the pattern. So I'm going to stitch all the way to the top of that top point and then just bring it down and just follow along that jagged edge. I'm probably going to go over my stitches once or twice to make them a little bit puffy, and we'll see how this works out. That turned out even better than I had hoped. I really like those little wells in between each section, but they are going to need to be filled with a stitch because that's how brooms are. So we're going to run a little stitch of our brown thread in between each section. So here's our finished broom. Come back for our next video and we'll talk about those borders.